All right, so let's take a look at solving two-step equations. They will require, as you guessed, 2 steps. So it's kind of like doing BEDMAS in reverse order. So typically, if we were to look at the first example, we have 4x minus 11 is equal to 9. So the x is being multiplied by 4 and then 11 is subtracted. So BEDMAS, multiplication happens first and then the subtraction. But we're doing reverse. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of the negative 11. And we're going to do that by doing the opposite operation. So the opposite of subtracting 11 is adding 11. So I'm going to add 11 to both sides. I'm going to line up my equal signs. And I'm going to add 11 to both sides. And simplify. So 4x minus 11 plus 11, this is 0, it cancels out. So I'm left with 4x is equal to 9 plus 11 is 20. Now I have x being multiplied by 4, so the opposite operation is dividing by 4. And I'm left with x because the 4's cancel out. And I'm left with 20 divided by 4 is 5. So x equals 5 is my answer. I can check if this is correct by looking at the left and the right side of the equal sign in that original equation. So 4x minus 11 is the left side, and 9 is the right side. So instead of x, I'm going to substitute the 5 that I just found. So I found that if I replace this x with 5, the equation is going to be balanced. In this case, the variable represents only one specific number. There's no other value that that variable can have except for 5. And I want to make sure that I did it right and that it's actually 5 and that I didn't make a mistake. So 4 times 5, BEDMAS, so if I'm going to do that first, gives me 20 minus 11, which is equal to 9. And that's what I have on the right side. So left side is equal to right side. B, I have negative 25 is equal to 7 minus 8x. If you find it tricky having the variable on the right-hand side of the equal sign, you can just switch the two sides. You can just rewrite it, but have the part of the equation that has the variable on this side and the part that doesn't on the other side. You can do it like that. Because our final answer is going to need to say x equals whatever the answer is. So if this is easier, you can do it like that. So again, I'm going to look at what's happening to x. So x is being multiplied by a number, and there's also a number being added over here. And that's not a mistake. It is being added. The 7 is positive. It's being multiplied by negative 8. So to get rid of the 7 is positive. So to get rid of it, I have to subtract 7. So I'm going to say 7 minus 7, because that's how I can isolate it, minus 8x, that's what was in front of the 8, the negative sign, is equal to negative 25. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other, golden rule. And now 7 minus 7 is 0, and I'm left with 8x is equal to negative 25 minus 7 is negative 32. Now it's just one step. Divide both sides by 8, because here it's being multiplied, so the opposite of multiplying is dividing. And I'm left with x is equal to negative 4 as my final answer. C. Typically, when you first start, it's a good habit to write out plus 11, minus 7 on both sides. But as you get going, you'll notice that each time we add or subtract the same number to both sides, the side that it was originally on it'll end up canceling out and be 0. So another way to think about it is the 3, instead of thinking of it like subtract 3 from both sides, you can think of it like you're taking this 3 and moving it to the other side of the equal sign. And on the other side, the sign changes and it becomes negative. That's one way to think about it. If you don't want to rewrite it every time, you can just do this. Just subtract 3 from both sides, and I'm left with m over 2 is equal to 18. Here, m is being divided by 2, so the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So I'm going to multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. And I'm left with, the 2's cancel out, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm just left with m is equal to 36. Oh, sorry. And that's the final answer. If I wanted to check, the left side of this equation is m over 2 plus 3, and the right side of the equation is 21. I'm going to replace the m with the 36 that I just found. So 36 over 2 plus 3. 36 divided by 2 is 18, plus 3 gives me 21, which is the same as this side. So left side is equal to right side.